let's see if this is going to work for me. Let me double check that the sound is working, the video is working, and that we're good to go. Okay, looks like we're good. Take 3. I'm so sorry that the sound didn't work in the last video and the video didn't work in the first video. So hopefully 3rd time is the charm. So hello all of my quilting friends. I am so glad that you're here. I feel like it's Monday. I can't believe all these things aren't working. But we'll just laugh it off and keep going, right? So today we're going to talk about how to use and read a quilting ruler. So when I was growing up, I was actually homeschooled myself. We used an Abeka curriculum. We did video school through them, and it is a great curriculum to use. So any homeschoolers out there, shout out to you. Good job, mamas. You're doing great. We do the same curriculum with my kids, actually, and so I learned how to read a ruler and how to do fractions 3 times over. Once for myself, once for my son, and then again for my daughter. So I think that as adults, we learn a little bit faster, especially when we have to teach someone else a skill. And so fractions are pretty second nature to me now, especially with quilting, because in quilting world, you use fractions for everything. Most of the time, we're using a whole inch to a half an inch, or 1/4 inch. We use the 1/4 inch a lot, and 3/4 of an inch. So I was going to talk to you about how to read a ruler, right? So a ruler reads from the left to the right, right? Just like we read a book or a story or whatever, we read it from the left to the right. Hello, if you're just joining me, please comment below and tell me hi. And if you can hear me okay this time, I think we're good to go. Hi, Penny. So a quilting ruler, though, is opposite. We read it from the right to the left. So that can get really confusing and kind of mixed up in people's brains, especially if you're a newbie quilter. So maybe you're great at fractions already and you've been quilting forever, and that's awesome. I'm so glad and happy for that. Thanks for joining me today. But would you share this video with someone who may be brand new to quilting, or maybe even a child who is struggling with their fractions? Maybe this video can help walk them through how to read a ruler using fractions. So I'm going to draw out, or I did draw out, but I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. A graph of a ruler here. So we've got a 1/2 inch in the middle. Okay. Make sure I get those long enough so you can see them. So this is a ruler, right? So we would read it from the left to the right. So this would be 0. The long one in the center would be 1/2. And then we'd get to a whole inch at the next longest point, right? But then there's all these little tiny marks in between. And on a normal ruler, this is really, really tight, right? So it's really confusing. So spreading it out like this can kind of help give our brains a visual of what everything is. So the middle one is the halfway mark. And then the next smallest step down in between the 1/2 and the 0 is 1/4. And then we have 3/4 over here. So if you were going to count all of these marks with the large marks, you would start with 0, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, and 4/4 equals a whole, right? So now we have these little tiny ones in there. So if you were going to look at this, this is 1/2, and this is 1/4. This would be an 1/8. Okay, so let me write that down. So we have 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, and 7/8 marked on there. But if you were going to look at it and count them, this would be 0, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. And 8/8 equals 1 whole. So that can kind of help break down how to read a ruler correctly. Now, that's just a normal ruler. Now we have to reverse it. We have to go backwards with it, because with our quilting ruler here, put a piece of paper behind it so you can see, we're going to go this way, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on going that way. So looking at just this first section here, we've got 1 whole. The middle line would be the half. The line before that is a 1/4. And so this line right before the 1 is a 3/4 mark. And then all those little lines in between there is the 1/8. 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8, 1 whole. Now for the most part with quilting, we use just the 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and 1 inch. Occasionally you'll run into a pattern that uses an 1/8 or 3/8 or 5/8, 7/8, just occasionally. With the Farm Girl Vintage quilt, we did run into that. So that was a little confusing and a little tricky. Sometimes it's even hard to line up your ruler that way to try to get it to cut correctly. So unfortunately, my camera system isn't working, so I can't show you my table very easily, but let's see if I can point the camera down to it so we can get you looking at it here. So, all right, I hope you can see this enough. So I have a piece of fabric here. Let me just get it refolded a little bit better. Okay, so with a right-handed person, you're going to be cutting on the right side. If you're left-handed, you'd be doing this the opposite way. But I think that the ruler still kind of reads that same way. Actually, if you're left-handed, it'll read the same way a school ruler does. The numbers will just be upside down. So it's just kind of an issue for us right-handed people. We're going to be reading it from the right to the left, and that's so that the fabric is on the right side so that we can cut it away from our bodies. If we were doing it this way, we would be cutting it towards our bodies, or it would be really awkward trying to cut it like this, crossing your arms. So you always want to try to cut on the side that you are dominant. So if you're right hand dominant, you're going to be cutting on the right. So lining up our fabric with our ruler, say we want it to be 2.5 inches wide. So we would go 1, 2, there's a 1/4, there's a 1/2, right? So 2.5 is right there. And then we'd line up our fabric with that 2.5 inch mark. And then we'd make our cut. Okay? So if it is 1 3/4, you would line it up on that line with 1 3/4 and then make your cut. And remember, the rule of the rotary is always cut away from your body. Don't do pizza cutter. And make sure to close it when you're done so that you don't accidentally cut yourself. Okay? Now, ideas on how to keep your ruler from slipping and sliding away from you. Because sometimes we get really pressed on there and we're pressing on it so hard that it goes, and we're like, oh, great. Now I have to buy more fabric because I miscut it, or I have to cut it out again, and it's so frustrating, right? So there are products, and I should have looked them up. Now I can't remember what they're called. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. I'm hoping that we can stock them in our stock here, but we don't have them in store quite yet. They're little silicone sticky round stickers. Let's see if that will bring them up. There's one by Gypsy Quilter called No Slip Grip, and those are ones that we can get in our shop. So let me just add those right now. And it looks like it comes in a package of 24 little grippies, and then you could just stick them in the corners of each of your ruler, and it will help it not to slip. They will get linty once in a while, and they'll start peeling off, and that's why you get so many in a package, so that you can replace them. But this ruler, I didn't have any of those grippies left over, so I stuck a piece of double stick tape to it. It's probably going to be terrible to get off, but it did help give me a little bit more traction. And even though it's all linty now, it has just a little bit of a rougher edge, so it doesn't slip around on me so much. So if worst case scenario, you just have some double stick tape, you could use that. So let me see how much those are. So they're about $5, $5 to $6 for a package. So if that's something that you're interested in, we can get those in our shop as well. And I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you would mind sharing it with a new quilter, or maybe a child in your life who is struggling with his fractions and needs some help, maybe this tutorial will kind of help give him the basics of it. So thank you so much for joining me for the third time today. I hope that this video worked for you all, and hopefully next week we'll have all the bugs worked out. Cross my fingers. So have a great day and a great weekend. It's almost the weekend. Yay! So we'll see you next week. We're planning on same time, same place, Thursday at 11. And I think we're doing my favorite products. So we'll see you then. Have a good day. Bye.